Hi, it's Rachel with Stirring the Deep. I've been talking a lot in my videos about learning to listen to God, to listen to that still small voice that is directing you in the paths of righteousness into righteous love. And one of the key characteristics of that voice is that it's full of honor. Honor for God, yourself, and other people is very honoring. So everything that it will direct you in will entail honoring everyone. And God's love is very honoring because ultimately, God is love. And this voice that's speaking to you, it's always going to be from a place of love. Satan or lies, that lying spirit or that spirit of fear that's coming up that's that battle that sometimes we have in our mind, that's like a roaring lion. It is so loud, the thoughts of fear and all that stuff. But as you draw closer to God, that voice, he starts purging out that fear, all that fear out of your life, because all of that fear is of Satan. And he purges all of it out because perfect love drives out fear. And if you still have fear and you're driven by fear, you haven't been perfected in love. And for most of us, if you can look back on your life, you can see that just about everything that you've been doing in your life prior to really seeking God and where the areas where God is kind of redeemed, everything was driven by fear at some degree, some level, or by lies. And God is completely the opposite. He's truth and love. So this is this voice that you hear and this guidance, which is like your good conscience, because that's what it talks about, that Christ cleansed our conscience, right? So now it's like that still small voice in us, that little part of us, that gift of God. And if we will listen to that spirit and start tuning into it and following it and walking it, then it will lead us in the paths of life in this life. That means we'll be growing in love and peace and joy and contentment and purpose and value and all these things. So it's so important to be listening to this voice, right, of God that is directing you and guiding you, because it's God who teaches us, God who instructs us, God who counsels us. That is the new covenant. That is God who writes his law on our hearts. And that's what I'm talking about. As he's writing, he's making you aware of what his law is. He's training you up in righteousness. And you do that by heeding his instruction to you personally, because he's walking with you throughout your life. So you'll hear him, hey, go this way and not this way. And that's what you have to tune into and listen to. And as you do that, his presence grows stronger and stronger and stronger, because you're becoming sanctified, you're becoming holy, so that he can truly fill you. It's an incredible process. So one of the main things of this voice is that it's honoring. And one of the things that is totally against this is a fake love, a hypocritical love, not being real. And that's the spirit of the Antichrist, because it's putting on this outside appearance of love, but it's not love at all. And that's why, Jesus was talking to the Pharisees, who was a representation of that, where they thought, they were walking in their own righteousness and in love and all this stuff, but that it was not all, their hearts were not in the right place, and God could see that. And this is something that spirit, that hypocritical love, that fake love, totally repels the spirit of God. And you see that in the Pharisees and Jesus' interaction, that repelling. So that is the worst thing that can happen. And a lot of churches really encourage this hypocritical love, because there's so much emphasis or guilt or praise or whatever it is about being a good person and being a loving person. So all of these people try to do all this in their own self-effort, when it's supposed to come from the love of God that's in you. You're supposed to seek God's love to fill you. That's the only true love there is. It's a righteous love. It's holy. It's pure. It's unlike anything of this world. And that's what God wants us to have. That's how he wants to love other people. And that's why he says the first commandment is to love him. Because we can only love him when we really experience his love. Because love comes from him. So as we really know God, truly know God, if you know God, you know love. You know his love for you, and that love naturally flows out to others. But it's a very honoring love. So this voice that you're hearing is always, when it directs you, and whatever it is, it's always going to be honoring, and it's going to be of love. And as we see in Luke 6, when Jesus was talking, it's full of compassion and grace and forgiveness. Okay, now the very important part of this is that God's love is not like the love of this world. Okay? And so you have to learn from God what love is. Don't assume that you know what it is. And let him fill you with his love. Let him train you and teach you up, because that love is full of righteousness. So that's also that same thing of learning his love is learning his righteousness, because he's one. It's all connected. So as you're learning and training up in that righteousness, you're learning what real love is. So in a particular situation, when you tune in and start listening to him, he's going to say, hey, do this. And he's going to show you why. And you'll see, wow, that is so loving. But that's not what I would have done. He's going to start opening up your eyes so you can see really how hideous your love was, how fake, how hypocritical, how that is not what he wants, and how the perfection of his love. And his love is so powerful. It's amazing. It's a tremendous gift to receive and to give. And that's the thing too about his love. It's like you want to give it. Yes, receiving is good, but you have so much joy and just what that love does in other people's lives. It's not even of you, because it's like it's God flowing through you in his love, and you see the impact on other people's lives, and it's such a joy to be able to experience that. And so the importance about not leaning on your own understanding of what love is also that in times God will separate us from people, okay? And that is actually the most loving thing to do. And that's why we have to be sensitive to that spirit, because again, his ways are not the ways of the world. And it says in Luke 12, I think that's the one I want to read here. Jesus says in Luke 12:49, I came to send fire on the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. And that's when he was here first, and let me tell you, that fire is starting to kindle, and that's what I've been talking about in these videos. It's the refining fire. But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how distressed I am till it is accomplished. Do you suppose I came to give peace on earth? I tell you, not at all, but rather division, because he is destroying wickedness and death. For from now on, 5 in one house will be divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. Father will be divided against son, and son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. So you have to be very sensitive, because the light repels the darkness. And it's not that there's not a love there, but he's going to be separating. And if you're forcing and trying to think, no, this is how it should be, because that's your idea, then you're actually going against God's will. And I think that's also why he, in these situations, and that's very hard, right? Because the whole world is telling you one thing that you should be doing, but yet you feel like God's telling you something else. So it takes a lot of courage and boldness to step out in that. But that's why the Bible can be so encouraging, because it can confirm all these things that he's saying to you. So that's why I strongly encourage you to read it daily, because it's how you learn to hear his voice. It gives you that confirmation of what he's saying in your life. It's such incredible encouragement. In Luke 14:26, Jesus says, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. And whoever does not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. Following Christ, it's following his voice wherever he leads. And Not bearing that cross means you have to crucify that self-will, that other part that's been controlling you, and allow God, Christ, to be your Lord and control you and govern you. So you cannot truly follow him unless you're willing to let go of that. And a part of that may mean separation from certain people. That this world says that, no, that's what you should do. You should just do this regardless. You've got to listen to his spirit and seek for that confirmation and follow him, because he knows what's truly loving and good. He sees the beginning from the end. He knows how everything's playing out. He knows what's best for everyone's life. We don't. Only God is truly good. He has all that wisdom. But as we listen to him and get trained by him, we start gaining the mind of Christ. We start gaining that wisdom by which we can walk. That's why the Proverbs is like, get wisdom, get understanding. These are principal things. Because we have a mind and we function with our mind. And God has to renew that mind. And that's what this process of listening to him, training you in your life and in your circumstances is all about. And the key thing that he's training us in is righteous love. So just about everything that he's going to be training you in has to do with what true love is. And it is honoring to you, to God, to other people. Till next time, keep stirring the deep. It's the one thing that changes everything else.